focus on hitting your goals in every area of your business. Remember, the universe rewards the bold. A leader has to take the risks.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming on. This is going to be kind of cool. So we got Joshua B. Lee and Rachel B. Lee. So where's the B? You're both B? Like that's your middle name, B?
That's always the fun part, right? When we got married, it kind of worked out that way.
His is Byron, and then my maiden name is Rachel Bronstein. So when I got married, I moved it to my middle name, and it works out really great from a branding perspective.
That was perfect. That was a good,
I know,
right?
She wasn't ready to work with me then, though, so it just kind of played out later. At first, she was like, all right, well, I'm just going to leverage you. I'll be the wife of Joshua B until I don't need you anymore. And then, I'll stand on my own.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. And so as far as like, they call Josh, or is it, does anybody call you Josh, or you go by Joshua, or?
Everyone calls me Josh. It's the online persona, right? Joshua.
Okay.
When you have a name like Josh Lee, there's like 1,000 of us on there. So you've got to be the Joshua B. Lee. And then that's you kind of played it out with everyone kind of sees us, especially like on Clubhouse, we're the B. Lees, right? So.
The B. Lees. Okay. All right. And so I guess, Josh, you're the dopamine dealer of LinkedIn. What's that all about?
That was something that was coined to me. Good friends of mine on another podcast. Basically, after we were talking about how I actually work on LinkedIn, how we actually engage with everyone, and they were like, "Look, you're just kind of dealing dopamine." So, and then their podcast came out, and it was like the dopamine dealer of LinkedIn, and it kind of stuck. So that's kind of where it came from. It wasn't me coming up with that title; it was really someone else giving it to me.
And so, Rachel, you are, and by the way, just want to let you guys know, you guys are making history right now, because I've done probably over 150 podcasts so far, and this is the first time I ever interviewed two people at the same time. All right, so bear with me today. This is a little confusing for me here, but we're going to get through this, and I'm really excited. I actually was very, very excited about doing this. But they call you, Rachel, or you're actually a fearless marketing lady boss, Standout Authority, right? That's your guys' brand. And so tell me, why do they call you the marketing lady boss?
they call me the branding lady boss, marketing and branding, but I sort of use the branding lady boss because my superpower is understanding people and what their story is and what their voice is and how to bring that to market. I used to do it for companies and can still do it for companies. But the reason why I left my corporate job a few months ago to partner with Josh and Standout Authority is because I think the power is really in the personal brands and the people behind all companies and businesses.
And so what sort of companies did you work with like through the years that maybe we might recognize?
Yeah. Before being with Standout Authority, I was at Microsoft and Gartner. So I spent some time in the software tech world as a woman in tech, really understanding quote unquote the B2B side software world and really what it is to serve small, medium-sized enterprise businesses through software solutions. Yeah, a little bit different than today.
She's humble, I mean, she was going over there. I mean, she was Microsoft doing some pretty big things for the Microsoft Partner Network, doing some massive rebranding over there. And then, when she got over to Gartner, really kind of taking, hold of her at the digital market side. So it's honestly really honored to be able to have my wife. Believe me, Daniel, I tried to convince her for many years, hey, you need to make the jump. And it's interesting. It finally took Clubhouse and being able to kind of get her voice there that she was like, okay, I'm ready to be able to make that shift.
And so what was your major hesitation though, Rachel?
Daniel, I grew up as, grew up in a Jewish family, beautiful family in California. And everything was about having a job, a great job, having that job, which is quote unquote, working and being employed, great benefits, that that path, and then thinking about, okay, if I'm going to have a job, then maybe I'll be the C level, work my way up into a C level. And that was the path that I was on. It's why I went to go get my MBA. It's because of the MBA at University of Texas McCombs School of Business that I transitioned into the tech world, and got that big corporate job, getting the great feedback that you're on that ladder to high leadership, and really feeling that lack of purpose. And no matter how much I might love the people and the work was good, I really felt that inside something was missing, and that a part of me wasn't able to be my fullest authentic self. And living my purpose is more important than having the stability of a job. And I think so many of us stay in a job because it's comfortable. It is very comfortable. And,
but she gets definitely fearful of me as well too. She's watching the entrepreneurial, like, look, I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. So,
the ups and downs, it's scary. But, with being with Josh and seeing his journey and getting a lot of encouragement with him, and seeing that there's a great power in us being a powerful couple in business together, and what we want to do with voices and people and the power of LinkedIn, that there was just really great opportunity. And life is now. And I mean, we learned that more than anything, right? With COVID and the pandemic. So
you were so Rachel, you were kind of like, I'm reading you guys now. You were kind of the like, let's be safe. Let's make sure we keep the job. We got to keep the income coming in, and Josh, I could see Josh over there. And he's just the rogue dude, right? He's like, he's the entrepreneur. He wrote a book called Balance is Bullshit. So that, I mean, it tells me everything about Josh right there, right?
Yeah.
Just in the title, it'll tell me like all the, right? Very easy to read you, Josh. So Josh, why did you want to be an entrepreneur so bad? And like, why are you such a risk taker? And why did you just go for it? Like, what is in you that made you do that?
It's funny that you asked that. Rachel was actually trying to ask me that question earlier. We're trying to like film, different videos for Instagram. She's like, oh, why you become an entrepreneur? And I'm like, oh, it's always interesting when you kind of have this question, because I don't know if I actually became an entrepreneur. Like I kind of look back as a kid, like there was always things like from selling candy out of my locker, right? Like my mom used to tell me I used to want to go to summer school because I understood how to actually play cards. And I was the teachers told my parents that I was taking money from the other kids, right? So there was all those kind of things. But honestly, when it all came down to it, this is about 20 years ago, I really kind of got thrown into it because I didn't see any other path. I had my broker's license, and I left Texas and went out to California, and I had my own brokerage office out there. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall in 2002 that it was going to be there was a lot of turmoil that was coming. People were quote unquote running over their own grandmothers to close loans with reverse mortgages, neg-ams, all those kind of things. And, a buddy of mine brought me into the online advertising world, which back then in 2002, really hard to get into. And really the owner of the company changed from a business owner to a business operator. There's a massive difference in that, with him actually trying to run the company, and really shut it down and kind of put me on the couch going, okay, what am I going to do? And I had built some amazing relationships. That's kind of where I started my first company, on the couch, kind of going, all right, you know what? I got this relationship and I have this other relationship. Let me be the middleman between there. And that's kind of where my first really jump in entrepreneurship and being able to control my own destiny really kind of came from. And since then, built 16 different companies, and, it's been a wild ride, and probably some of the reason why when Rachel and I, first met, I was actually kind of going through a reset myself, and I went through a divorce and shut down 10 of my companies, walked away from everything. And so no wonder she had a little fear, because she's like, wait a minute, this dude was doing a whole bunch of things. And, to really save my children, that time and energy of trying to go through a divorce, I just walked away at 36, moved back in with my parents with a little bit under $1,000 my name, and kind of reset my life. And so that's when Rachel kind of showed up shortly after that. No wonder she had a little fear around being an entrepreneur.
So what was that like? Well, first of all, how did you guys meet? How did that happen? Where did you meet?
Tell the story well.
What was it on MySpace? Was it on MySpace?
MySpace was one of my original clients, yes, but
that's it. There you go. Okay.
I think Rachel, were you ever even on MySpace?
I was on MySpace. We're 9 years apart, so so we didn't meet on a dating app. We met on the streets bar scene in Austin, Texas. So we're here in Austin, Texas. He was celebrating a friend's birthday. I was celebrating a bachelorette party. And he came over with his man bun and said, "Hey, do y'all want a fireball shot?" He had a bottle of Fireball. And I said, "Yes, we do. Yes, we do."
And the rest is history. Well, I think it worked out well, Daniel, just because, instead of because of that age difference too, I wasn't so used to one, I hadn't been in the dating scene for a long time. And two, I wasn't a texter. So the next day too, she was texting me. I'm like, "Can I just call you?" She's like, "Well, that's weird."
Yeah, it's not normal, which is why I liked you a lot. Yes, human conversation, which is why that's what we believe so strongly today. It's yes, real conversation means a lot.
Yeah, it is really the way to stand out in today's world is if you could actually have a human conversation with somebody and get along with them and laugh with them and joke with, and just enjoy somebody's company. I think the relationships that form out of those type of conversations are relationships that sometimes could last a lifetime. And so what is because you guys are the standout authority here. I mean, you guys, teach us how to stand out because look, a lot of the people that are watching right now, they are small business entrepreneurs. I mean, that's what this podcast is going to, the masses. It's a lot of small businesses, so can you give us some thoughts around, how we can better stand out?
Ooh, well, do you want me to start?
Yeah, of course, my dear.
So we believe that standing out first starts with you, which means it starts with your voice, your personal brand, your legacy, and the way in which you go to market. So what makes you you, and how are people going to relate to your unique offering, product, or service? It starts with the brand. We believe that bringing that brand to life is most powerful on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people miss it out, Daniel. I mean,
why LinkedIn? Because why LinkedIn? Because I'm that's the one app I hate the most. But I know, I hate LinkedIn. I hate LinkedIn just as much as I don't like it feels confusing to me. And it's only because I don't understand it. I get it. Okay. I totally get that part. It's only because I don't understand it. I need to be taught. All right. So you got to teach me here. Okay. You're going to change somebody's life here today. Okay. Because I need LinkedIn in my life. I do believe that because I believe it's valuable. I just hate it because I don't understand it.
No, Daniel, and that's the whole piece, right? Everyone sees LinkedIn as a business platform, that B2B. And I mean, overall, I mean, business to business or business to consumer, I mean, these are just things that were made up years ago to diversify ad spend. I mean, truly every company is run by another human being. Most marketers have just forgotten that. So, I mean, it's really all H to H, human to human. So that's the biggest thing that I think that people miss on LinkedIn is they think they're talking to another company and forget there's another human being on the other side. So when we're on LinkedIn, you have an amazing following on Instagram, right? You can actually take some of your content on Instagram and actually share it because there are particular pieces of content that you can adjust and share on LinkedIn that will resonate because that's where people forget to be able to do. You want to be able to stand out. Everyone on the platform half the time is sitting there talking about what they can do for you or what about their business. Well, we all get sick of that person in the room always talk about themselves, right? It's there's Josh again. That dude never shuts up about LinkedIn. That would be exhausting. So this is where we have to kind of show up and have that human side kind of share through. And a lot of the stuff that we do and share with our audience is, I mean, how to be able to connect is just the things that my mother taught me how to be able to treat other human beings. I'm just doing it online, right? And so those are the differences. How do you actually build a relationship first, be able to really create advocates and allow that byproduct to become clients? And it allows LinkedIn to be able to really be a powerhouse for so many people.
And it's where business happens.
Yeah.
Not that Instagram isn't that, there is a lot, of course, Facebook. We just did a big community call on 10 reasons why you should get off Facebook on Tuesday. It was hot and spicy, Daniel. Not to say that these other platforms aren't effective. When it comes to reaching the top decision makers, the Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies, real business conversation and opportunity, we really think the best place for that is LinkedIn. And especially if you're a small business, especially the platform has over 750 million members and growing, and it is organic. You don't need to pay to get in front of people. You can get incredible organic opportunity because it's highly SEO optimized. So just a bit of the things and reasons why we believe so much in LinkedIn and why businesses and people should be there.
Yeah.
No, I really get it because I'm in the recruiting business. I mean, we recruit people in our business, and a lot of people that are watching right now or listening right now, they're recruiters. So right. There's no question about it. People are flocking to LinkedIn that are looking for opportunity. So right. If people are looking for opportunity, we have an opportunity, and it really is an amazing platform to be able to do that. And so is there something, though, that you could tell me, just as I'm your new case study? Okay, you guys are going to take me under your wing and teach me some stuff in the next few minutes, just to make me feel a little bit more comfortable with LinkedIn in understanding how to use it to maybe grow my business.
I mean, Daniel, look, it starts really with your profile. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Like, so many people forget to be able to fill that out. I mean, like Rachel had mentioned, LinkedIn's super SEO friendly. So when you actually go through and fill out your complete profile from all the different aspects, people usually fill it out like a resume. Well, unless you're looking for a job, which as maybe recruiters and stuff like that, you might be. But even then, you should be telling your career journey, your career story, rather than just listing it on his resume. Where have you been? Where are you going? I mean, that's the biggest thing I think most people miss out on, is they forget to be able to actually, speak to their audience and then be able to tell. Like, you'll look on mine, you can see like so many people I'll see, they'll start like, oh, I'm the founder of X. Well, is that where you started from? Like me, one of my first jobs, I worked as at Chili's as a waiter. I have that on there. I want people to understand that story of how I got to where I am today, so they see that commonality. And the more that you fill it out, the more that you can actually be able to do that, because LinkedIn's a search engine, just like Pinterest, just like YouTube. And I mean, everything from the profile to your content to articles are now super highly indexed on Google because their Moz score is 100 out of 100. So it starts with the profile, and then it starts rolling into the content.
You lost me with the Moz score.
I know.
Man. You lost me with the Moz score. So I want you to explain to everybody what SEO means and what the Moz score means, just for vocabulary words here.
Sure. Yeah. SEO is search engine optimization. So essentially, it's going on Google. Everybody goes to Google to search.
We all want to be on Google.
Everybody goes to Google. I worked at Microsoft and we wanted people to be on Edge, but to me, that doesn't happen. So, and there's Safari, but the reality is that 99% of people are doing their search on Google. And so Daniel, whomever's listening, when you go and search, who is the best LinkedIn expert out there, who's going to come up? When you go look up branding lady boss, who's going to come up, right? Those keywords.
Or wealth on the beach.
When you're wealth on the beach, right? When you're all of those keywords, right? That's what SEO is all about. These different, the search, the intent behind people, what they're searching for, and what is going to populate. And you want to be on that first page. And so when we say LinkedIn is super SEO friendly and highly optimized, same as Pinterest, is that they're working really nicely with Google. All of those keywords are getting picked up by Google without you even trying, right? That's organic. That means you're not paying to show up. And when people look for Rachel B. Lee, I want to be the first person on that page. When people think about what it takes to stand out, we want that to be Standout Authority, right? And so when we do a great job on LinkedIn for free, we are helping ourselves on SEO. And there's billions of dollars that go into optimizing SEO, people's like full-time job. I had a huge SEO team at Gartner, huge. We made millions and millions of dollars off of SEO because it's profitable, obviously. So when we say like by you posting, by you having a great profile, which the only thing that you're paying for is your time, we mean it, that it can reap benefits across all of the other things that you do and really tie your whole story together even more.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And the Moss score.
So
that's a brand. It's a company, Moz, okay. and that's so
they use that for SEO. So when you have a 0 to 100 based on different websites, it shows how well you rank on Google. So theirs is 100 out of 100. So like you can take your same blog, or let's say your podcast, right? You could take your Wealth on the Beach podcast. You can actually share it in an article on LinkedIn and potentially have it show up higher on Google than you actually will on your own brand. So it's kind of like getting in someone's inbox, getting in front of them. It's a much better play.
This is good stuff. And this is the stuff that small business owners never think about. I mean,
right.
And I think what drives me the most crazy is I'm trying to teach people about how to be more visual and more eyeballs, right? It's always business is about eyeballs. Business about referrals, business about connection, business about, creating relationships that ultimately end up in everybody winning, right? And everybody doing business together. So if us as little, small little business owners, if we don't start becoming more visual, we stay in the dark and nobody will ever know your true, greatness. Because you have something inside of you that's good, so is that kind of why people need a coach? Tell us why it's so important that people need somebody to guide them and coach them. And tell me about your coaches that maybe you had in your life.
Yeah, Rachel, go ahead.
I think you should take this first, honey.
Look, I think everyone needs a coach. I've been blessed not only to be able to have some amazing coaches when I started my company, but also now to be able to have them as clients years later on what we do, right? Like being able to work with people like Dan Sullivan, John Maxwell, Joe Polish, and others that are out there, like they've been able to really craft and shift on what I've done and be able to, cut the line. And this is the biggest thing, right? With a coach, you want to be able to go through there and understand from mistakes. I've coached people, even running a business, I've coached people for 20 years, right? Even when I wasn't a coach, I was still a coach because we're leading by example. And these are the things that we have to be able to share. And if you have a coach, the relationships that I've been able to garnish, the being able to understand what pitfalls they went through and be able to miss them myself has been able to really change my trajectory. And like, talk about when I reset my life, right? Without the right people that were around to be able to have the right coaches in my corner, I probably wouldn't. Look, my amazing wife was a coach at some point in my life, right? As she was coming in, because without still is, to be able to make me who I am
teach
today.
them all this stuff, right, Rachel? I tell you, like, did you put the seat down, honey? Right? You got to tell them everything, So yeah.
These things
so
happen.
Any coaches, mentors for you, Rachel?
Oh, yes. I'm in a really extensive leadership program now with multiple coaches. I've had life design coaches, I've had therapists, I've had mentors, and continue to. And it's really important. I think, Satya Nadella always said it best, the CEO at Microsoft, to, always be curious and always be a learn it all. And there's never an end to us learning, and growing. And if you ever think that you know it all, then that's, you're complacent and probably things are about to go downhill for you. So Daniel, I think you can call it a coach, you can call it your mentor, you can call it whatever. You always want to have people in front of you that are like the people you're like, wow, I want that. And then the people that are not even doing anything remotely near you, but you really can just learn from their industry expertise, their relationships, etc. And, for us, we train people on LinkedIn. We either train you on how to do it or we do it for you. And I think, why we do that is because everyone has their zone of genius. Everybody knows their superpowers. And the more you stay in line, the more you stay in your genius and get good people around you, right? You're super successful. How did you get to where you are? It's probably by having really fantastic people around you and you staying in your zone of genius.
That's it. Staying in the zone of genius. I like that. Because I think that what a lot of people fail to recognize also, I think, Josh, you said it too. I mean, there's a lot of mistakes that our mentors made that I just don't want to make that mistake. I'm telling you, like, I was super, super lucky. I mean, I started in business at 21 years old. By the time I was 28, I was financially independent. And the reason why is because I mean, I was super humble. I was super, like, zero ego. I was like, just tell me. I'm not afraid to roll up my sleeves. I'm not afraid to get dirty. I will do, as long as it's legal, ethical, and moral. You tell me what to do, I'm going to effing do it. And I mean that. I'm that passionate because I was an athlete growing up. So it was like really important to me to do everything these people told me to do. And then it's like, holy shit, 7 years later, I got $1 million saved. I'm making $500,000 in passive income. I'm totally free. And I'm going, why doesn't everybody listen to coaches? Why doesn't everybody just humble themselves, lose the damn ego, be coachable, follow the dang process, and go win as quickly as possible, so that way you can enjoy it, right? Because it's fun to win, because then you can enjoy the fruits of the win, right? So do you guys have, like, what's your big goals and desires as far as vision for you and your future?
Yeah, I mean, like, one of the biggest things, at least for the company itself, I had such a hand in monetizing the way we actually monetize online. One of my first clients, was MySpace back in the day. We actually helped them, my company actually helped them create some of the first online ads that we are mimicked based off of today in social media. So, being able to go through there, I monetize so much, but there's such a huge difference between monetization and actually true engagement. And so, like, one of the biggest goals that we have is we want to really change the way we are online. We want to really humanize the way people are online. And that's the biggest thing. How do we bring the you back into human, right? We have to remind people that even though there's other people on their side. So that's really the biggest thing. I want to humanize the way we do marketing. And that really has to go back and get away from, we all look at, being able to, how do we scale? How do we automate? How do we go through that? Well, you lose that opportunity. We're all seeing this after COVID, especially, that we miss that human connection. And so that's the biggest thing that we're trying to be able to bring back and that's my biggest goal, is to be able to change the way we do marketing and really humanize it a lot more.
So any thoughts on specifically how we do that?
Yeah. So for us, to be human means to really understand who you are and to understand what your own personal mission is and what do you value, right? And that is really what the essence of personal branding is, and really finding your story. And our hope is to be centered, to be connected with the most human-centered, conscious leaders, professionals, entrepreneurs across the globe who have personal belief and mission to really spread love and compassion and growth and humanity. And to do that means to understand oneself, right? To really understand your power, your zone of genius, your gifts, your story, and bring that to life. Of course, we think how to do that, a powerful vehicle to do that is LinkedIn. But the mission of us in terms of really impacting and expanding and creating a world where people love themselves and they love others, I think that's our biggest ultimate, vision and why we decided, you asked me in the beginning, like, why'd you leave the corporate job or whatever? And I said, well, I know that us being together, the Be-Lees, is more powerful. It sends a powerful message to the world, and that together we can really, really show what relationship means and what it means to be in business and to create humanity in our business and with others. So that's what keeps us excited about this work and what we're doing, Daniel.
What's the hardest part as far as like having a business together in a relationship? What's the hardest part? What would you say? Because again, there's a lot of partnerships out there. There's a lot of people that work together, and like, there's people that say, how could you ever work with your spouse all day long? Don't you get sick of her? Don't you get sick of him? So what?
I won't speak first on this one, Daniel. So
yes, for sure. No way.
I think that the hardest part is really being able to draw lines. And so we have good people around us to help coach us along the way on that, where, if it's Tuesday date night and it's time to go on a date night and be in relationship, to say, we're not going to talk business. We're at the dinner table or it's 5 o'clock and they're like, hey, let's have this business conversation. And then we're going to be back into relationship. Today, we get the kids. When the kids come home, we help them with homework and we're in parent zone, and it's parenting time and family time, and just really trying to draw the lines to keep a little bit of sanity for us. Can't say that it's easy, but that is the hardest part, because it's just always on our mind. Yeah. And so, where you create and really prioritize our love and our marriage and our family first and foremost, and then the business.
Yeah. I mean, Daniel, this is kind of why I wrote the book, because I was trying to live these two separate lives, prior to Rachel, and you had the work life and the personal life. And honestly, that's like having two different personalities. If we have two different personalities, I'd be locked up in an insane asylum, right? We have one life and we have to live it that way. So we have to understand that there's no balance. It's more like, how do we integrate the aspects into our life on a regular basis that are us 100% of the time? And that might be when I go to Rachel and go, hey, I need to talk to you as your business partner, right? And then we're setting that tone, kind of going into it. Or, hey, I want to talk to you about as your husband, right? To be able to understand what we're talking about, because we've had our own problems, right? We've had things where I kind of go in and, we realized really quick too, like, our COO, we're like, okay, sometimes maybe it's not me saying, hey, Rachel, I need you to do this for me. Cause she's like, well, we kind of go through there. Sometimes it's better to have someone else kind of go in rather than us telling each other what we needed to be able to do at the company. And that was something we had to learn too.
So it's kind of a strategy. Let somebody else tell the bad news, huh? Is that kind of like, let somebody else go in there? And good news, bad news. Something need to be done.
Yeah. Somebody to certainly help manage, him and us, kind of
manage me, especially because I'm the entrepreneur, I'm the ADHD, all over the place.
Yeah, like I'm more, regimented, process driven than he is. So yeah, definitely like having people. And we did that wealth dynamics test, which I know many people might have heard of or not, and we both came out as stars. And when we told some of our friends about that, they said, oh, so you're both stars and leading the business. And we said, you know what? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And that means that we need to carve out our expertise and what we do and what we talk about, and have, somebody to help us in really managing the business. And I think we're doing really well, all things considered. And we're still learning so much, Daniel. So a year from now, we'll tell you a whole different story, because we're still only 5 months into fully working together.
And you're still alive. So that's good. There's positives to everything. You guys are looking great right now. You're breathing. So that's a good thing. And so what would you say, Josh, is your strength, and what is, in Rachel, same thing, like what is your strength in business?
One of the biggest things that, people have told me, one, I've always been an amazing promoter. I can actually see some of the best things inside of someone. So when I actually sit there, people say when I'm talking to them, they feel like they're being heard. I can actually pull out some of the best and be able to show them who they are, and then help them show the world. And so that's one of my best qualities when I'm sitting down with people, is like, it's rare in this world that you feel like you're seen or heard. And that's what we want to be able to do, to be able to pull that out and allow someone to be seen and heard, and then be able to show them how they can actually do that online in a world that's so cluttered. It's, that's really the superpower that I've really possessed over time and really harnessed.
I also think that Josh, he sort of like sees in between the lines. He's not a full-on futurist. I wouldn't say like a full-on futurist, but like Josh really can kind of see where things are going before they're there. Thus, he was in online advertising before it even happened. Thus, he started with LinkedIn and all of the work that Standout Authority does, 5, 6, 7 years ago. So I'll add in that as an observation. And, Daniel, it's a lot easier. Part of when I do my personal branding workshops and we talk about what are your skills, your superpowers, it's a lot easier to know this by asking other people, what do you think are my superpowers? What would you come to me for? Then you trying to figure it out yourself. Just want to say that.
Your superpower.
So if you're listening today and you're like, what is my super? Well, don't worry. Just go ask like 10 people and see what
Josh,
they say.
What's her superpower? What is Rachel's superpower?
Rachel's, I mean, you know, as you kind of go through, I mean, some of the best things that I've ever seen of her is her heart, her love. I mean, she really has such dedication, not only to, you know, our family, to our business, to the children. I mean, that truly stands out. I mean, being able to be someone that actually goes through, and there's never 100% is never enough for Rachel. You know, she is an overachiever, and she really puts her heart, soul in other people. And by doing that, it allows us to be able to make sure, like, look, I'm able to be able to do a lot of things that I do, but having her in here to be able to, I mean, hell, let's just be real. You know, her superpower is wrangling me. You know, I mean, that's pretty difficult. So keeping me on focus and task of where we're actually going. So that's a pretty good superpower, but that's really where I see Rachel shine through.
I do think though that, you know, from you, Rachel, you know, when you look at, you know, you look at the mirror, you know, you look in the mirror and you go, okay, I'm really, you know, I think I'm pretty good at this. You know what? I think I'm pretty good at, you know, this is what I feel great about. You know, what you know, what would you say to that?
Yeah, I'm an incredible communicator. Yeah, I'm incredible at branding and I'm an incredible communicator. So the way I can communicate in this sort of forum, think on my feet, writing, creating presentations, like all the things that communication takes, I really am quite good at it. I was handpicked by one of the CVPs at Microsoft to be her executive communication lead. I turned it down because I chose to move to Austin, Texas,
and marry me
to take a chance on love. So there has it. And I couldn't take that opportunity. But yeah, Daniel, I'm a super strong communicator.
Love that. And I think it's good. I mean, I always felt like, I mean, you know, not in a braggadocious way, but I just think it's important that we all recognize what we're good at and we give ourselves credit too, you know, like to be able to say, hey, you know, I did that good. You know, I'm really good. I'm actually good at that. And people like that about me. And when we recognize that, sometimes then we can almost kind of stand out even more, right? So anyways, the last, I just got a couple last things for you guys. I mean, this has been so much fun. And I just think, because I do think that the branding aspect in all of us small business owners is, I don't know of too many other things that are more important. I mean, I'll give you a quick example. I mean, I've been on Instagram forever, and you know, it's like I haven't had to work forever because people just come to me. Right. You know, it's just because you know, not that I have, you know, super millions of views or anything like that, but it's just whoever it is that's watching me, they find me somehow, and then they, you know, DM me and they go, hey, what do you do? Tell me more about what you do. And I send them a little video and they go, yeah, I'd love to be a part of your business. And then, you know, so it's just, it's interesting how, you know, because in the old days, when I got started 25 years ago, I've been in business for 25 years. When I got started, you know, we used to go to the mall in Prospect. You know what I mean? Like literally. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but we'd go to the mall. Like that would be the place where everybody's at. So you would maybe bump into somebody or meet somebody or a coffee shop or a restaurant, or it's like, I could never do that anymore, right? When you have millions and billions of people online, why would we ever not brand ourselves and allow us to attract the people that are attracted to us, to give us the biggest odds that we're going to actually get along and not have to overcome a lot of objection